Hello, my name is Asli Sayar. I'm a licensed California and Nevada attorney working with the law firms of Leakakis Law APC and Asli Sayar Attorney at Law Inc. Are any of you familiar with the words force majeure? Well, if you're not familiar with them, you're going to become very familiar with them in the near future, because the other meaning for the words force majeure are act of God, such as an act of God clause in a contract. Now, a force majeure clause or an act of God clause that allows a party to not perform as promised under the terms of the contract, but still not be at fault. If I promise to pay you for a service that you've rendered, but there's an earthquake, a tsunami, and it is literally impossible for me to do this, that event, that tsunami, that earthquake is an act of God or a force majeure that excuses my non-performance under the contract. I'm not in breach of the contract. It isn't that I chose not to perform. I literally was prevented from performing due to a force majeure or an act of God. There's a question raised about whether or not the COVID-19 pandemic constitutes a force majeure or an act of God that allows a party to a contract to withhold their performance. It's very important right now first to pull out your contract, see whether that contract does in fact have a force majeure clause. What is the scope of that clause? And then there's going to be the debate about whether or not the COVID-19 pandemic reaches the level of a force majeure act. Most force majeure clauses do not contain language regarding pandemics or epidemics, but yours might. And even if it doesn't contain that language, the question is, does this pandemic still rise to the level of a force majeure event because it is external, unpredictable, and unavoidable or not? So at this point in time, if you yourself think that you might be about to breach or violate a term of a contract because you cannot perform because of the COVID-19 crisis, or you yourself are waiting for performance from someone else, and that someone else says, I can't perform because of the COVID-19 crisis. It's now time to get very familiar with your force majeure clauses in your contract, if they exist. And if they don't exist, what are your other options? Is it insurance? Is it picking up the phone and renegotiating your contract? Is it governmental authority or programs that will help bridge the gap during the time one or more parties can't perform to that contract? This is a concept that is growing and is being evaluated on a daily basis by attorneys all over the country. And it is going to become more and more important to businesses and contracting parties throughout all 50 states. So when in doubt, it's time to make a plan. It's time to pull out your contract. It's time to figure out whether such clause exists in your contract, whether the COVID-19 crisis does in fact trigger that clause, and what does that mean for you and your business, whether you're the one performing or waiting to receive performance. We hope this information and a little bit of knowledge gives you some tools to start your investigation for your business to determine what you need to do to help guide your business through this trying time and hopefully avoid breaching your obligations under your contracts. Thank you very much.